histories are made with people who dare, those who just do new things and try to achieve new stuff. With this, we have someone who had made history, who has done a lot of things for the Nepalese community, and for any aspiring immigrant who is immigrated to this country. And we have none other than Pjay Shrestha. Welcome to Get Heard.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. How have you been?
Oh, God. Am I on a countdown? Or?
Yes, you're on a timer.
Oh, damn. I don't think... I've been great, but,
Yeah.
As COVID, a lot of people have experienced COVID at the moment.
Yeah.
It is, for me at least, it's been frustrating.
Yeah.
Being at home, not being able to go out.
You're working from home, are you?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
working from home at the moment.
All right, okay. That's cool. Yeah, life's just changed.
I know,
Everything just
It's
stopped.
very different. And I think it's good in the sense that now, because I work a lot with corporates.
Okay.
And one of the things that a lot of, large enterprises are thinking about, large businesses, is changing the way that people work.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
way that looks like is oftentimes it was like the manager going,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
come at 8 o'clock, you finish at 5 o'clock.
That's it. Yeah.
Now what's happening is a lot of organizations are thinking, well, what's the actual point of that employee coming to work?
Uh-huh.
And for a lot of organizations, they're actually thinking, well, why not have the employees work at home?
Yeah, true.
And that
true.
saves, for a lot of people, that's the thing that a lot of people don't like is the traveling. And
Yes.
I think if we
Yeah,
can
it
save
works.
a bunch of people traveling time, just even an hour a day, that makes a big difference. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm really looking forward to from the whole COVID situation is
Yeah,
being
nice.
able to work from home.
I think it just shifts the way how people are working all of
Yeah.
a sudden because they're so used to working from home. They save so much time because I was working from home as well.
Okay, how did you find it yourself?
It was, bit pluses and minuses.
Okay.
Plus point, I get it from my bed, 2 steps, I'm in my office.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
you put your what's it called, shorts, and then you.
Yeah,
put
that's it. Yeah, and that's there. But other thing I couldn't cope up with was, this environment, and you're in the actual office environment. You're trying to produce. You're more productive.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's what I felt. So my performance must have dropped.
So you think your performance dropped working from home? Or?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
really?
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
because. You're not used to this structure here, and you're you're working. Sometimes you got distracted with something else because a lot of happening
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
home. So,
But do you feel like you work harder as well, as in longer hours?
oh yeah,
Because
that's
sometimes,
there. Yeah,
Because at work, for me at least, once it's 6 o'clock, I don't have to touch a laptop. But then
Yeah.
because work is at home,
Yeah.
you're very compelled to go, just that last email.
Oh
or just
yeah,
that
yeah,
last,
yeah. That happened to me as well. What a lot of researchers are saying that since you are say basically working from home,
Yeah.
you're not getting to wear you're not getting to change your hat
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
So people are trying to adapt just a fake walk to just go around, get a coffee
Yeah.
or something. So you're more in like a work mode.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And it's interesting you brought that up because I think the biggest thing that's coming out for a lot of organizations and just people in general
Yeah.
is looking after yourself and the mental health side.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that this goes to business leaders, but also a lot of students.
Yeah.
I was just reading a couple of stats, and I think the suicide rate is going to increase during the COVID and after COVID, just because
Okay.
of the mental stress.
Mm.
And that's something I think
Is that
we should
because of the
always.
unemployment or?
I think it's just because of the mental stress of things like uncertainty.
Yeah.
Of we don't know how long this COVID situation is going to go for.
Yeah.
The financial burden, because there's a lot of things up in the air. Sometimes it can cause financial stress.
Yeah, sure.
But also,
sure.
I think it's just being stuck at home, not being able to,
Yeah.
catch up with mates. Just
Yeah.
the basics. So
No,
that's-
because people are so addicted to going home and they have such a fast lifestyle. They
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
stay home and they don't
Yeah.
reflect to their life
Yeah, yeah.
anymore. So
Yeah, but now everyone's trapped in home.
exactly, and you're trapped with your partner and shit, I'm married to this person. I don't know what to do
Okay,
with her.
yeah. Well, I heard a lot of divorces.
Oh yeah, probably, and a lot of pregnancy rate as
Oh,
well, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, well, so how's working? You which corporate structure, which industry are you working in at the moment?
Yeah, so I work at an organization called Neuro Leadership.
Okay.
And
Oh
so
yeah.
what we do is we help out a lot of organizations around behavior change. So we're a cognitive science consultancy. Normally we focus a lot on Fortune 100 to ASX listed organizations.
Wow.
So it's been very interesting. A great example was we have one of the large organizations like change specific behavior across like 30,000 employees within a
Wow.
week.
Within a week.
Yeah, within a week. So,
Wow.
and I think it just
That's
goes
like
to show-
hypnotizing people.
Yeah. Because we study a lot
Shit.
about the neuroscience, just
Yeah.
about the brain and how you can shift people's behavior.
Uh-huh.
So I've been really enjoying it. It's different to my previous sector, which was in technology.
Mm-hmm.
And as we talk about just my career, one of the things I learned, and I think this relates to a lot of like young people,
Yeah.
is sometimes at university you're like, okay, well I like accounting or I like marketing or I like nursing, and similar to what everyone feels like, I think that excitement of learning about a different industry
Yeah.
never ends because you always want to try different stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I realized was I tried a bunch of stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm in a space where I really enjoy what I do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you think you've found your space, found
Yeah,
your
I think
like
so. Yeah, 'cause
sandwich
I
bit?
tried a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And
No, I think
yeah.
while we're young, we should be trying a
Yeah.
lot of stuff because you never know what really clicks. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think
Okay.
that's one of the key advices that I really want to share with others is
Yeah.
sometimes it feels like, it may seem like you're uncertain about what you want to do in life, but I strongly urge, you got to try a bunch of stuff because
Yeah.
if you don't, you won't know what you like
Exactly.
and what is meant for you.
Exactly.
I always remember this story about like there's a Australian like business person,
Mm-hmm.
and what happened for him was, I mean, he did come from like a bit of wealthy family,
Okay.
but his dad gave him like money
Yep.
to start a business, and
Okay.
what happened was in that business failed,
Yep.
and then his dad gave him like again like more money to
Mhm.
try and do the business again.
Yeah.
And then now like he's created a business. I think it's worth like over $100 million. He's an Australian guy,
Yeah.
and I think it just goes to remind you that sometimes it's okay to fail, but
Yeah.
as long as you just keep pursuing your dreams,
That's it.
that's the most important.
I think failure is just like foundations to success, and
Mhm.
I think failure teaches more than what success does, pretty
Yeah.
much. Because failure pretty much points out what you're not performing or what
Yeah.
you're not doing well, so you can improve.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
yeah, I really love when like my ego doesn't like when I fail, obviously,
Yeah.
but deep
Well,
down,
sometimes it does hurt going like, oh,
yeah,
damn.
yeah, exactly, yeah, and
This
like,
is so embarrassing.
shit.
I'm never gonna do it again.
Yes, but the bigger the failure,
Yes.
the more impactful it is
Yeah,
into your brain,
definitely.
and you're like, oh, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
You know
Are
what I
you
mean?
able to share like an example? Because it seems like
Oh,
it's
yeah,
top of mind for you.
Sure, 100%. So I was in sales, and
Okay.
I used to interact.
It's very
people.
tough sales.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
but it grows you
Yes.
a
Lot
lot
of
as a
rejections,
human being.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
rejections. Yeah, exactly. So I thought, I was in a point of time where I just finished 6 months of sales, and I thought, like, I'm the top of the world.
Okay.
You get that feeling,
Yeah,
and
yes,
you're like,
yes.
man, I can
When
sell
you're killing it,
anything.
yes,
exactly. But that's just like very short living, and what I just approached a person, and I was like,
Okay.
very unprepared
Yeah.
and very rough, and I didn't know what I was talking about. I
Okay.
didn't have much idea what I was
Yeah.
selling, but I thought, since I'm killing it day in day
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
I thought like I could just sell it. But I lost a massive sale because I was not prepared, and I was very rough, and I
Yeah.
thought like I could just get him to buy my stuff. But yeah, after
Okay.
that I was
Are you able
more
to share what
prepared.
you were selling? Because I think everyone's gonna be very curious about that.
Oh yes. Well, it was pretty much I work in Harvey Norman.
Yes.
I used to, sorry,
Yeah.
and it was a very expensive piece of laptop. It was
Okay.
about I don't know 3 to 4 grand.
Okay, so top-
for a
top of the
laptop,
range,
Top
yeah.
of the range, yeah. And that person had come one day earlier, and he's seen the laptop, and he is like pretty much liked it, and he was telling me to come the other day. Sorry, the next day, and he came over the next day. I thought I'd already got the sale. I wasn't even paying attention to
Okay.
him, and I was like, not prepared, like for his questions. I could have researched more because I was so on top of my head. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna sell it, and he came back. He saw my lack of enthusiasm and my pride maybe, and he just said, I'm probably buy somewhere else because he can buy the laptop anywhere.
Yeah,
in this.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so a big lesson.
Yeah.
Lot of
Wow.
commission lost,
Yeah. Well,
but
you definitely won't forget that lesson.
oh yes.
Yeah.
But it was very valuable because later when I went for say other interviews or tried to make other sales, it really hit me every time because this
I
is
can
how I lost a
imagine.
sale.
Yeah.
And bit by bit I grew, and like I always wanted to get prepared pretty much before doing any interviews or
Okay.
doing any
Yeah, yeah.
podcasting or something
Yeah,
like that. Okay.
yeah.
I am also really enticed about your public speaking skills, honestly,
Yep.
because what happened to me as a child was when I tried to. I'm a horrible public speaker, by the way. Just on that note, and uh, whenever I go on stage, I'm like very nervous, and I feel like I'm blurring out words, and whenever I'm in a comfortable environment such as this,
Yep.
I don't have any trouble speaking up.
Mm.
So, is there any technique you use, or were you a natural born public speaker?
Well, I think everyone faces that fear of going like, damn,
Yeah.
am I gonna stuff up or,
Yeah.
you know, I think there's just a general sense of nervousness. Like
Yeah.
even when I was coming to this interview, I was like, shit, like I
Yeah.
better not stuff up.
Yeah.
And I think it just, I think the first thing is just to acknowledge the fact that we're all gonna feel this way. And it reminds me of like a moment where I was like, what are the key moments when I get really scared? And I think it's the same with a lot of people, like meeting new people, speaking, and I think the reason that we get this sense of like fast heart rate and just a bit of like anxiety
Yeah.
is because we have to be a bit vulnerable
Yeah,
of
yeah.
us going like,
Yeah.
okay, well, this is me,
Yeah.
love it or not, like
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
it's just you showing up. And I think for me in my journey, like I always had those feelings, but I felt as though like that's a skill that I really want to develop. And it's been a long journey as well. A lot of like failures, a lot of like similar to what you said,
Yeah.
me going into like a certain situation and just trying to perform like whatever way possible. However, I realized that the only way you can improve is first of all practicing, and
Yeah.
then the second of getting feedback. I think you're also aware of this organization, Toastmasters. That's where my journey really began.
Oh, okay. So
And-
are you a member of
Well, I was a member.
Yeah.
I was also, I think the vice president for education, like just helping one of the clubs like grow.
Wow. Okay.
And I learned a lot from that organization in terms
Yeah.
of public speaking, just around leading organizations as well. But I think the key thing is, first of all, just immersing yourself
Yeah.
with a group of people where you're safe to practice your public speaking.
Yeah.
And you can get feedback. And I think Toastmasters would be great for that. And I think it's just you trying new stuff, and eventually you just keep improving. I think it's hard for anyone to be perfect. One of the things I've realized is that because I spent a lot of money on like personal development,
Okay.
and one of the things I noticed was that even if you have a certain skill set, that skill set might erode if you don't have good people just continuing to pushing you and giving you feedback. So I think it's important to have a circle of friends that can continue to give good feedback as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point you said. Like the biggest investment you can make is on yourself, and if you're, spending a bit of money on personal development, then it's a very good return on investment, I believe.
Have you done any yourself or?
Not really, but I have joined Toastmaster just before COVID, but it was all
okay.
stopped.
How was it for you?
It was really. I didn't have like a lot of experience with that, but I went for a couple of weeks. But it was really good. Like it was very well structured, by the way, and they were really good speakers, and like there were all different tiers of speakers. You know what I mean? Some were like really good, and some were just learning.
I know,
So it was like wow, people are coming out there trying to talk and like trying to improve their skills. Because I think public speaking is one of the major skills if you want to climb the corporate ladder or want to
I think
build
speaking,
an identity.
speaking is very important.
Overall, because you need to communicate and definitely.
Yeah, and so I think because I always felt as though you read a lot of books as well. To be honest, do you, or is that just a facade?
I do. Yeah, I do a lot of audiobooks.
Okay,
I don't have time to go and.
How do you find it between books and audiobooks? Because I always think, like audiobooks, it saves me time, but then with the books, it's like physical. You can draw on it.
No, you can't compare with an actual book for sure. But with audiobooks, what you can do is you can spend time, like
Yeah.
save time. Sorry.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
while you're driving, you can
Yeah.
just put
Or
your
working
audiobooks
out
on.
at the gym.
Working
you
out,
can't
exactly,
see.
exactly. Yeah. No, because I listen to a lot of motivational books
Yeah.
as well.
Okay.
And
Do you have a
it
favorite
pumps up.
yourself? Or?
Oh yeah, I love Grant Cardone.
Oh, Grant Cardone. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and while I was
So
doing
you're the
my
sales
sales,
king.
while I was doing sales, because I believe sales is the fundamental of the human development,
Yeah.
I guess, because you're pretty much selling every day.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
you're selling your ideas, you're selling yourself to your partner,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think sales is a
And
very
so,
good
like,
skill.
you being in the sales industry for quite a bit of time and obviously learning a lot,
Yeah.
as someone, because it sounds also that you want to kind of give the advice that if the opportunity presents itself, definitely take up the opportunity to get into sales. Is that what I hear?
Well, partly yes, but you see, you never know in the future. I'm very open-minded, but
No, I mean for others, like, as in for
Oh.
someone young, like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely, man. Like I feel sales has grown my personality like 10 times
Yeah.
of what I was before. So first it started with hospitality and
Okay.
I was like, made to work.
Mm.
And pretty much I had to work, talk with people every day. I'm originally a very shy person, but when I started talking with people, it felt normal. And I
Okay.
thought, oh yeah, maybe, I could go to sales.
Yeah.
Then when I started doing sales, a lot of rejections,
Yeah.
and that made me, stronger and stronger every time because like
Yeah.
the rejections never really felt. First, it was very hard.
Yeah.
Like first few rejections, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I remember even when I started my role in sales as well. I think
Oh, okay.
my first what was the first role like? I remember at university I did this thing around because I wanted to do something around like community.
Yeah.
To do something like good in the world, but also like get paid for it.
Yeah.
And I think there was this like charity organization where we had to like do a couple of fundraising on the street. And I remember, oh my god, like,
Damn, that's the fun part.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
on the
yeah.
street and you're like just
yeah, well, you gotta, grab
Literally.
someone's attention, you
Yeah.
gotta speak with them,
Yeah.
you gotta influence. And I
That's
remember,
it.
like, a lot about, like, sales is just the fact that it's not about you,
Yes.
it's about you just communicating the
Exactly.
opportunity.
Yeah, and we
Uh,
shouldn't take it personal as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Especially you're doing such a hard task of going and getting attention.
Yeah,
You're doing it for the good. You're doing the
Yeah.
charity. You're not taking any money out of it.
yeah,
so
exactly.
yeah.
And that's, like, something, like, well, that's one of the lessons I really learned throughout my journey,
Yeah.
is that, don't focus too much on what others think, and
Yeah.
your value shouldn't be about, what others people say about you. It should be just about what you want to do, and just focus on the good intention of what you're trying to create in the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think people don't understand that, and I think that's something you develop over the years, like listening to audiobooks or
Yeah.
reading books.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite book?
Gosh, I think I got many.
Yeah.
But one of the ones that I really liked was Ryan Holiday's books.
Okay.
He's got a couple. I mean, there's obviously Stoic. I got to get back to you on the exact names.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
just remember like they were very. It really helped you just become grounded, and the key thing that. I think it was Ego is the Enemy as well as one of the books.
Okay.
And one of the things I learned from that book was that as you grow,
Yeah.
sometimes people get egoistic.
Yeah.
But one of the most important things about like success is that you gotta just be grounded and don't let like the previous success define you. And one of the things I learned was that in that journey, it's really about like not being caught up with what other people want. I think one of the things I noticed was there's a strong influence of like how we should all live,
Yeah.
what we should value. Like I know
Yeah.
that sometimes like before I got caught up in this space of like, okay, well, it's all about like making lots of money,
Yeah.
living a certain lifestyle.
Yeah.
But then when you like for a lot of people like that doesn't align to what they want to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's unique about like I think our generation
Yeah.
is that a lot of like the youngsters are actually thinking about, well, first of all, it's not about money, it's not about like a certain status.
Yeah.
It's about what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like living a certain life, making certain money or doing certain things. It's about what is going to bring them a long-term joy. And I think that's what's really shifting in our
Yeah.
generation.
Is it this one?
Yes, that's the one. Yeah. Yeah. It's a really
Okay.
good book.
Yeah, I like the cover. It's like the red.
Yeah, because he did a lot of advisory for I think a lot of like millionaires and billionaires.
Okay.
And one of the things he saw was that often society like puts them in a space of like, okay, well, this is what they are defined as successful.
Yeah.
But when he actually goes into their houses, their life is like, very miserable.
Yeah.
And it just makes people go and question, okay, well, is that what you really want to chase? Because,
Yeah. True.
the reality might be very different
Exactly.
to what they depict it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Just strange that how human nature works. Pretty
Yes.
much. Like you're uh, progressing, and suddenly you have ego building up, and you started not talking to friends, and you think you're better than certain
Yes,
people.
well, we've
'cause
all
you're-
heard stories about those
Yeah,
people.
no, because I've experienced those stuff as well.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
I've experienced it myself. You know,
Okay.
like when I'm like doing something nice,
Yeah.
I get that feeling of pride in me,
Yes.
and
Ah.
and I can feel it within me. But it's like just I don't know where it comes from.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just so weird.
Yeah, I hear you out. I hear you
Yeah,
out.
maybe it's just thoughts. Yeah, coming over, and also I'm really happy that you identify yourself as a link between the Australian community now and the growing Nepalese community here in Australia, because you have been living here for quite some time. Obviously, you've done your high school and everything here, and you have well soaked yourself into the Australian culture, but not forgetting your roots, and trying to help your community
Yeah.
is an amazing thing to do, because you could have just turned your blind eye and just let it flow, and you're happy, you're doing a great job, you have a good career to yourself, but you go out there, because it's a really that we need these sort of people, that link between your Nepalese community that's growing. Otherwise, we're just going to be a community that's paying tax and not being able to represent ourselves
That's a very
and
good
represent
point.
our opinion, because we're paying equal amount of tax, maybe not more. You know what I mean.
Yeah,
So
I
what made you to take this journey? And actually, it's a tough journey, by the way, because you're leading it, and you're the only one I see. And what made you do this?
I think for me, what happened was at university.
Yeah.
I think out of the 8 units, I failed like 5 of the units.
Oh wow! Okay, you failed.
First year, university.
That's
I
the
think,
headline there.
and I wasn't the brightest student.
Yeah. Okay.
But what happened was that, as I had a vision of where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I just kept meeting people, and what helped me the most was, I realized that in life, if you know the secret to like achieving a certain outcome, it makes life super easy. So, for example, before I used to find studying really hard. I didn't really know how to study properly, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I got like a really terrible marks.
Okay.
But like when I actually got tutored with people around like memory and like how to learn effectively.
Yeah.
Like my marks changed from like fails to like in my last years of university like distinctions and high distinctions.
Okay.
And nothing really changed between me apart from me going, okay, well, this is how you actually memorize properly. And that was replicated in my career as well. So I remember like when I looked at some of my mates and when I looked at like my career, I remember like even though I failed like 5 units, because of my mates, I got into like a role where normally you'd have to graduate and do your CPA. And I noticed that, wow, like, it's our first year of university. Certain people are finding it hard to get a job even after they graduate.
Yeah.
And I've already got a job.
Yeah.
And I noticed that the difference was that because of my mates, they were able to like help me network, and they helped me like understand how to climb the corporate ladder per se.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really helped. And as I just continued to develop my career, more and more people helped, and I was like, damn, like I'm quite lucky to know all this. But then when I looked at like especially ACU and just some of my other mates as well, that were international students, I was like, wow, like there's so many like talented international students that are like way smarter than me, and way more hardworking. Like I want to be upfront. Like I think I'm like nothing compared to them. But I think the only gap between how I got to where I was and like them not being able to really integrate was that gap between that space around getting a job. Like how do you network? How do you position yourself to get that job? Because I noticed like especially working in HR now, sometimes you can be the best like talented person in that field, but if you don't know how to like answer specific interview questions or just position your resume in a certain way, like oftentimes they don't end up getting a job. And I think it's quite sad because the world misses a lot of like great people to be
Yeah.
in working in those fields.
Yeah.
And if I can support like people, getting into specific positions,
Yeah.
by me sharing experiences or just trying to help them out where possible,
Yeah.
I think that'd be remarkable, and I think that's
Yeah.
what success looks like. for me.
Okay. Okay. Have you
Yeah.
taken interviews of people
Interviews, as in, what do you mean?
when you're working in HR for your company? Were you taking interviews?
Yeah. So before, like, as my first role, I was actually a headhunter for a couple
Oh.
of like tech companies,
Okay.
and so I was just interviewing a bunch of like people that
Developers.
wouldn't normally look for jobs, and
Okay.
so
What do you mean? I don't.
yeah.
understand.
So the way what I mean is, normally for like at least certain companies,
Yeah.
what they want is they want people that are very talented.
Yeah.
But often those talented people don't end up looking for jobs. So
Yeah.
you got to try and find those people and influence them to work at another place.
Ah. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
And yeah, just a great example was with one of the ladies. She just like, because Google was looking for like a marketing manager, and what happened with this lady was that even though she was still at university, she was already working in the ad space.
Okay.
And what happened was when she graduated, she already like got a job as a marketing manager, getting like paid over 100K as a graduate.
Wow.
And I think, normally for a lot of graduates, it's like getting internship, but I think that's what really helped certain people like excel their careers is
Yeah.
like knowing like how to approach their
Yeah.
career as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But like as I spoke with a lot of the like large corporates and
Yeah.
just businesses, one of the things I did notice was that oftentimes first impression makes a big difference.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also, that thing around like knowing how to sell yourself is
Yeah.
a big thing.
Yeah.
And I remember like vividly, like there was a couple of people where they were really good, but they themselves were very scared that they won't get it, that they actually went, okay, I'm not going to go to the next interview, or,
Yeah.
just, I don't know, just stuffing up in the interview process. And I
Yeah.
thought, damn, like, if they just got a couple of training and just believed in themselves,
Yeah.
like they could actually get a really good job.
Yeah, true. I feel it's sometimes just practice.
Yeah.
Just keep going to the interview. Sometimes I would go for an interview where I knew I would not get the job, but
Yeah.
just for the
You
sake
got
of
to,
going to
like-
the interview, you
And
know?
sometimes you might actually like that job. Like there's been
Yeah,
so
yeah.
many moments where,
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
You never know. But people are like, oh, maybe I can't pass this interview, or this role is not for me. You never know. Just you make an attempt and hope
And
for
so
the
do
best.
you have any tips yourself?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
because it sounds like you went to a bunch.
Oh, thousands, man.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, once I was literally interviewing 5 days a week.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause,
I think you gotta share your CV secret. Cause
Oh, yeah.
you're getting that
Yeah,
much
I've been getting
interviews.
a lot of interviews, but not the job. So yeah, I don't know, something was wrong.
Yeah.
But the fact that I love going to interviews, I don't know why. First of all, it was really daunting,
Well, can we just talk about the CV actually? Like,
Yeah.
when you created your CV, because it seems like you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Like, how did you? What's your thought process
Okay.
as you create a CV to send to that employer?
I feel you need to change your lens and you need to see what a recruiter is trying to look for, pretty much. It's not like you recruiting yourself. You don't want to put stuff that you like. You need to put stuff that they like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's
Can you
where...
give an example? Or?
Yeah, sure. So I was doing sales,
Yeah.
pretty much, and I was trying to move into corporate.
Yeah.
And that's a big shift, and
Yeah,
that's
it
where
is.
a lot of people get stuck as well, I believe.
Yeah.
So I didn't put experiences where I was selling. I was putting experiences of project works that I
Yeah.
was doing, at uni. So that would relate more to them rather than my selling experiences. So yeah, I was talking about projects that I worked on. I was doing talking about technical stuff that I put in, and I try to put as less words as possible, because literally as a recruiter, you yourself, you don't read the whole
Yeah,
CV,
that's
you know what I mean?
correct, yeah.
You literally just look into points, and you wanna hit the nail right in the seconds, because like, oh, you see this, because like there'll be thousands of applications, you see, oh, this guy, oh, he's got 3 years of experience,
Yeah.
it needs to be there, like, these 3 years, I did this,
Yeah.
and you should hit the nail. Yeah.
Because I think that's like, and I want to share that with everyone. I think that's so fundamental. Because one of the things I noticed as I got like a lot of CVs as well,
Yeah.
was that there was people that was like, again, very talented, but that CV wasn't structured right.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important because a lot of hiring managers, they look at a CV and go, okay, next. They never look at a deep level. So I think if you can just highlight the key things that they're looking for into your CV, I think that's going to make your success rate
Yeah.
really good, and you probably have a bunch of interviews.
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
100%. And also, just go for the interviews. Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna be really scary, but after a couple of times, you're gonna be like pro. You know, you will
Yeah,
know
yeah.
what sort of questions they're
Yeah,
gonna
well, I can
ask.
tell you're a pro now.
Yeah, yeah. I can be like, okay, before he's gonna ask, I know the
Yeah.
answers because I've
What
been
kind
there
of
so many
questions
times.
did you end up getting for you?
One of the greatest questions that threw me a lot of times was, why should I hire you? Simple as that. You know, what do you think?
That question comes up a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't give like a generic question like I'm very hardworking or
Yes.
I'm just like punctual. They're just generic answers. But you should just, you know, see that person probably wants you in the team. Like he
Yes.
will probably be the hiring manager and he will first of all look what sort of human are you,
Yeah.
you know? So you gotta say, see, I am a team player. I like to gel with people because people skill is the
Yeah.
top skill.
Yeah.
Technical skills come after. You know, you can learn technical skills, but you're an asshole. You know, nobody wants you the team.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So yeah, you gotta pretty much, you know, like to you have to say words that
Yeah.
he wants to hear.
And I think
Yeah.
that's very fundamental as well. And I highly urge, if you're watching, just write that down question, which is like,
Yeah.
why should, they hire you?
Take
Because
notes.
that's going to be
people.
like a question that, even for me, that's came up a lot as well.
Yeah.
And like oftentimes you feel like, oh, that question's not going to come up.
Yeah.
But then when it does, it really does throw you off.
Yeah,
going,
yeah,
like,
100%.
like it makes you go, oh, well.
Yeah.
And I remember like with a particular job that I really wanted, I did a lot of research, and I think even though I didn't have that capability, because of my ability to go, okay, well, the reason you should hire me is dot dot dot, but it wasn't generic in the sense that, well, I'll be a good fit or like, I'm hardworking.
Yeah.
It was actually making them think about, oh, well, that's something that that person didn't know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, well, the reason you should hire me is because I'm actually an expert in this. And what I've heard is that that's a challenge that you're having.
Oh wow.
So then they go, okay, well, like,
Love
this
that
person
answer.
can.
Love that answer. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, nice.
Yeah.
No, I really didn't think about that.
Yeah, yes. So like, if it's okay, I'm happy to share how I would think about approaching a job interview.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think the first thing you got to do is you got to try and research about that particular individual.
Yeah.
In the sense that.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's a high point.
Yeah.
I just go into
Yeah.
LinkedIn and just
Yeah, yeah.
search it up.
Because it's out there, that information.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
and it makes you less scary as well because
Yeah, yeah.
you know that person, you've researched,
Yeah,
you've seen his
exactly.
picture,
Yeah.
and you can talk about that as well.
Yeah.
And when you go there to the actual interview, familiar face because
Yeah.
you've seen it
Yeah,
in the,
exactly,
in the,
yeah.
in the LinkedIn. Yeah, yeah. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the second thing is once you research about it, figure out what they're into, like, if it's sport or whatever it is, just generic stuff. But then the other thing is, like, depending on what role you're in, try and understand what are the key challenges that person have. And, for me, I actually gave that person's employees a call, going like, hey, what's that manager like? What is he into? What's
wow.
the biggest challenges? So when you're at the interview, you're like, hey, like, when I spoke with James or when I spoke with dot dot dot, they said this was a challenge. Like,
Yeah.
this is how I would approach this particular problem. And I think that's what's going to really help you separate yourself. Because, in today's world, like, it's very competitive.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
it's very important that you separate yourself from the
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah,
And I
100%.
think that research really makes a big impact.
Yeah, and that interview thing changes your whole career.
Yes.
you
Yeah,
know?
well, yeah,
It's
massively.
literally half an hour of conversation,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's like bam, you're in the
Yeah.
corporate world. You know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just a door, and
Yeah.
I think if it's that single door, you gotta keep
Yeah.
knocking. You gotta make 1,000 applications.
Yeah.
People are so picky and they're so scared about making applications. When I really need a job, I'm like spend whole day
Yeah.
just keep applying. You never know which
Yeah.
door opens.
Yeah,
and
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
That's good. Also, I feel with the jobs and everything, what youths are missing currently are their involvement in politics.
Okay, yeah.
And I feel it's high time youths, get more involved and get more knowledge into what's happening, what runs the world.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big believer of saying that if you don't want to get involved in politics, politics will get involved in you.
Well, yeah, there is a famous saying.
Yeah. No, I truly believe that
Yes.
one because, in the end of the day, they decide what's happening
Yeah.
with your country, with your
Well,
environment.
Well, a good example is just even with job seeker,
Yeah.
like just with one policy, it can make a dramatic impact to everyone's life.
Yeah.
So I think it is very important to know what's happening from a political point of view.
Yeah, yeah.
And advocate where needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think there's a big stigma with, especially with Nepalese community,
Oh, yeah.
when you say politics. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
you're a politician.
Yes.
But yeah, like and end of the day, politicians are the one who run the world, pretty much, like run the
Well,
damn
yeah,
country.
it creates the laws in the society.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, and where you want to be in that conversation, you want to be in that room where people make the laws, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it affects you. You
Yes,
know,
definitely.
and say job seeker, for example, if your family loses job, you want some compensation for them.
Yeah. Mm.
But yeah, if there's like lawmakers saying, nah, we're all rich, we're not gonna
Yeah.
give people any
Mm.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, have you been involved in politics yourself?
Not really, to be honest. I'm still very newbie.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so
Like, what about in Nepal? Because I heard in Nepal, everyone gets involved.
Oh,
At some
really?
level. I don't know. That's what
I don't
what
know.
heard.
Yeah, I thought it's a big, there's a very negative,
Okay.
concept about
Okay.
politics, and
Yeah.
like people don't want to get into politics because Nepalese politics is quite dirty.
Yeah.
I'll say blandly,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Like, 'cause- well, none of our politicians are graduates.
Mm.
None of our politicians are well educated.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't know because I haven't studied
Yeah,
at
yeah,
deep level,
no,
but yeah.
yeah, because like I don't know, people who run our country are the least educated. Like the very little less politicians who are actually educated and know what they're talking about. Otherwise, they just play the game of politics. And
And so, do you have any like thoughts around like how politics should be in both Nepal? And
Oh yeah, 100%. There should be a lot of youth involvement.
Yeah.
Because youths, especially in this generation, get to study and they're way advanced in they can vision stuff
Yeah.
that old people more or less can't,
Yeah.
and they should get equal rights.
Yeah.
So what I noticed was, because there are more older people voting, older people get more favors compared to younger generations.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because
do you have to be a certain age to vote there? Or?
oh no, when I mean younger people as in above 18, but
Yeah.
like around 25 bracket.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So is it 25 that's when they get to vote? Or?
I think it's about 16 in Nepal.
Okay, 16. Is it 16?
18, I guess, right?
I'm not sure. So we get citizenship
Okay.
at 16. I got my when I was 16. Yeah. So I think once you get your citizenship,
Okay.
you get
16.
to vote.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
For-
Fair enough.
But I've never voted.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
In
what's
Nepal.
your thoughts about like the Nepal situation? Because I heard
Yeah. Well, like we like to be more transparent. I think there's a lot of stuff that's hidden. I think what I like about Australian politics is very, very transparent, especially government rules. And there's
Yeah.
like acts that favors the people, and you
Yeah.
can't hide information about.
Yeah.
But there's so many stuff that are hidden in Nepal, and they're like just under the table, and
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
shit. It's also I feel what's
But do you feel that it's more a cultural thing, or do you think that it's just because of the way it's been, or
I wouldn't say culture. I would say more of because I think that's how poor country functions, because we have poor mentality and we feel like we wanna, hoard as much wealth as possible so we
Okay.
can give it to our son.
okay?
Because there's a lot of nepotism culture as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So here it's like you're 16, you get out of my house, and that's why you don't want so much money. You don't want to keep it for your son,
Yeah.
your grandson.
Yeah.
But in Nepal, you're like, my son's gonna take care of me. My grandsons will need it, and you just want to keep building that wealth. And
Yeah,
you want to
yeah,
keep
okay.
filling your
Yeah.
purse.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest drawback. Also, I don't like how democracy works, to be honest, because
Okay. Yeah.
the
No,
politics.
This is good.
Yeah,
topic.
because
Very keen on hearing.
because the term the politician work, they're so short term.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The party change in like 2 or 3 years.
Mm.
So what happens is, I'm gonna stay for 3 years, and I might feel as much as I can.
Yeah.
Because after 3 years, I know where I'll be.
Yeah. Well, I was very shocked. When I was in Nepal, I think 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I heard that the tax, like, the car tax is like 300%.
Oh yeah, massive.
And then like just to get like a standard car, like it's like 200-300K or something.
Oh yeah.
And I was
yeah.
like, wow, like
No, I don't know.
how can people afford this?
Even
Yeah.
from India. So like, okay, let's say international cars, fine,
Yeah.
but if they're like Tata
And there's some really
cars.
nice cars in Nepal, like at the moment. So
Oh, and how
yeah,
did they get
yeah.
it? Like that's the question. Like
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
people are riding
I was shocked,
Porsche
yeah.
and freaking Ferraris,
Yeah, yeah.
paying 200% taxes.
Yeah.
Like, wow,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
these guys have got a lot
Well,
of
yeah.
money.
So I challenge your thought around, Nepal being a poor country because I
Yeah,
think
I feel
a
the
lot of
country is
this-
poor, but the people are rich.
yeah, okay,
Yeah, does that make sense? So
Yeah,
people
yeah.
are holding all the money.
Yeah, yeah.
Here, the government is rich because they've got control of all the
Yeah,
people
yeah.
and what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, Nepal,
Mm.
it's a sad story, man. Yeah.
And so I know that there was a bunch of other topics that you want to talk about.
Yeah.
But I think while we talk about the Nepal situation,
Yeah.
I'll be keen on hearing your thoughts on the future of Nepal because one of the things I noticed when I spoke with a lot of youngsters is that a lot of them actually want to do stuff back in Nepal.
Yeah.
So do you think that long term,
Yeah.
a lot of people that have migrated to Australia are actually going to go back to Nepal?
Yeah. I think
And I'm
it's-
keen on hearing,
Oh, yeah.
what you think of, your journey as well.
me personally as well, so it's on the record. And
Yeah.
I want to go back and do something for my
Okay, so
country.
you- yeah,
100%,
okay, yeah.
100%.
Including
I'm
you,
one of
okay,
them. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
one of them. Take me in.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but if you meet me here in like 30 years, don't,
Yeah, yeah.
don't bring
okay.
that up.
Well, we got this recorded, so.
Yeah, but yeah, honestly, like, cause that's where I grew up, and I just don't wanna, just leave it everything and just come
Yeah.
here and have a good life.
Yeah.
Cause life here is good, but
Mm.
you gotta take care of stuff back home.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But
what
I
I feel,
noticed it's very different as well,
oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
When I
Because I
first,
noticed it's very stressful in the sense that, you wake up, you work,
oh yeah,
at least 5 days a week, and
Yeah.
it goes until you're very old.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
in Nepal, it's much more relaxing.
Oh sure, yeah,
Yeah.
people are much more relaxed,
Yeah.
and like there's a totally different environment out there.
And do you have any ideas on what you want to do back in Nepal?
I don't have a certain like specific ideas, but
Okay.
moving back to your previous question of how does
Yeah.
Nepali future look, I feel it's also very bright and it's also kind of dark because it all depends on how government carries on with the development and how it facilitates, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day the job the government does is facilitating development.
Yeah.
And looking at the skill set current youths have in Nepal, it's like way up. They're really in the pro level, international level.
Yeah, because I remember and if it's okay to share,
Yeah.
I remember when I came to Australia, I was fascinated. I think I came when I was in year 1, and I remember in Nepal you had to carry 6 books, you had to write a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Here, you sit down, you watch TV, you get lollies, there's sleep time, and I think that
Relaxed.
continued for at least till year 7 or 8.
Wow.
So very little study,
Yeah.
and that's why I think when I see a lot of very talented international students
Yeah.
not achieving the dream, it makes me sad because
Exactly,
it's
exactly.
they're if there was a couple of knowledge shares of
Yeah.
how does the Australian society work, I think they'll be very successful.
For sure.
And that's what I really want to drive is that knowledge share between how the Australian society works and how the Nepalese society works,
Yeah.
and link those communities together.
I feel there's a huge dent in people's skills as well.
Yeah.
Because people are not as confident as.
Well, they're very talented. To be honest,
I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's just so surprising.
Because I remember at uni, there was so many people way smarter than me in IT.
Yeah.
And I remember with couple of them, they were they were struggling with getting an internship,
Mhm.
and I think the gap was just. I think the key thing was communication.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was a headhunter, recruiting for an entry role at an IT company, I remember I interviewed a bunch of people, and there was people with top marks and less marks, and as I was recruiting and I was speaking to hiring manager, what they were looking for was just that personalness of getting along with the team, just the basic
Yeah.
stuff. And I think
Yeah, that's it.
to be upfront, I don't think university teaches that. And
Yeah.
I remember this is an issue with not just the Nepalese community but just other communities as well.
Mhm.
Is that oftentimes there's not enough ways where they can interact with different members of the Australian society and the different societies as well.
Yeah.
Because I remember even in the Chinese society, the biggest challenge was they paid a lot of money to come here.
Yeah.
But they still ended up being friends with Chinese and not being
Yeah,
able to
yeah.
interact with Australians and
Yeah.
getting to learn the culture. So I
Yeah.
think that would be very important to at least strive as well.
Okay, so do you reckon people should be more open-minded and try to, learn culture here in Australia?
Yeah,
Try
I
to
think that'll be very
interact more.
important. Like,
Yeah.
and I think it does take courage to like reach out to someone that is totally new, and you don't know if you're gonna get along.
Yeah, yeah.
But like I noticed just that ability to just try and make more friends
Yeah.
that are outside your social circle
Yeah,
makes a
just
big
get out of
difference.
the comfort zone.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
just,
exactly, yeah.
interact.
Yeah, because I remember there was a bunch of like networking events and
Yeah.
societies at university and networking opportunities, and I
Yeah.
think just that ability to go and meet new people,
Yeah,
that's gonna
yeah.
make a big difference.
Oh yeah, and also the culture shock that you get once you
Yeah.
come here is totally different.
Yeah.
And the education is different.
Mm.
The way things are taught here
Yeah.
is totally different.
Mm.
Back home, it would be impossible to do your bachelor's and work at the same time.
Yeah, well, yeah, I heard. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, but it's like totally fine here, and by the time you graduate, you do have quite enough
Yeah.
skills and
Yeah.
knowledge
Yeah.
to, join the workforce.
Yeah.
But yeah, people who've done the bachelor's and come here for masters, like I don't find them that skilled. I don't know where that missing piece is.
Yeah, and I think the way that the education system is going is it's really focused on enabling people to have critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
I remember like especially even at school, and I think when some of my mates were sharing, a lot of like at least Nepalese study was like rope learning, which is
yeah.
more focused on like just memorizing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eating the whole book
Yeah.
and just spitting out on the exam day.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. And you don't remember anything because
Mm.
like you mugged up everything the night before.
Yeah.
But here it's totally different.
Mhm. And how are you like finding the Australian life? Is it what you expected, or because I remember in Nepal, like everyone wanted to come to Australia, and
Oh,
even
yeah.
though they had friends that, or like some member of the family that would share, hey, this is what it's like. When they came, it was very different to their expectation.
Oh, sure. Because I feel it has been portrayed a little differently as well. So we grew up watching, American Pie.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, Euro Trip, where
Yeah,
they show like college life, like a bunch of
Yes,
naked
yeah.
women running around, and
Yeah.
you're like, there's some
Well,
blondie here,
yeah, yeah.
and yeah,
Well, I felt that as well because I remember at university, like I think it was my first university party,
yeah,
and I thought, oh my god, like I'm going to a university party, it's gonna be like American Pie.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah. It wasn't at all like that.
I don't think that's the reality,
Yeah.
guys. So please, if you were
It's
planning
very
to come here,
heartbreaking. Yeah.
oh yeah, it is. It is soul
Yeah, 'cause,
crunching to
the
be
first
honest.
time you're like, oh my god,
Yeah. Oh, it's not what it is. Let's go
Yeah.
back.
Yeah,
Pack my
yeah.
bags.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what happened. But like, I ended up here, and it was totally not what I was expecting. But there was a sense of independent lifestyle here as well. So you are what you are here. You know
Yeah.
what I mean. So you don't
That's
have to
true.
say. You don't have to say anything to anyone. You earn your own money. You do
Yeah.
whatever you want. Nobody says anything. You're so free. And yeah,
And
I think.
was there someone that guided you in that journey? Because I think that's also one of the biggest challenge
yeah.
for our generation.
Very good point. Yeah,
It's
I love that.
because, like, at least in Nepal, there was someone that already had been through that experience, so they can go, hey, this is how to deal with it. But, like, because I think we're living in a time where it's uncharted waters in
Yeah.
the sense that, like, even for you, when you came to Australia, like, a lot of stuff was very new.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you may not have found someone to really mentor you.
Yeah, yeah.
Going, hey, this is what you should do, this is what you should think about.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, for sure. Like, cause I was earning quite a lot of money for an 18-year-old, and
Well, it's
you know-
big, like, especially, coming from Nepal, going,
yeah,
like,
100%. And
having
they're
that freedom.
exactly, and there are like so many clubs, and
Yeah,
there are like
yeah.
so many gadgets around, and
Yeah.
you're like shopping,
Yeah, yeah.
and like
And,
because
you can, it's like the more hours you work, the more money you can make, and
yeah, 100%.
you're not
And
limited as well.
yeah, and also money management, because we have zero
Yeah.
skills in money management before coming here, because you're not paying rent,
Yeah.
you're not doing
Well,
anything.
that's what I was gonna ask as well.
Yeah.
Like, how did you find the shift? Because I know for a lot of Nepalese that come here, they do, like, to be honest, they did live a good lifestyle, as in a lot of things was provided.
Sure.
And then when they come here, it's like they gotta do it.
Yeah, yeah. One night you're in the, you're at Ivy, you're in a sculling Red Bull vodka.
Yeah, yeah.
Next day you're like, oh, I wanna eat, I wanna
Yeah,
go to
yeah.
Macca's, you don't have money.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's the highs and lows, and I feel coming here early, gives you the time to actually experience all of that, and gives you the time to, pull up your socks,
Yeah.
buckle up, and see what's important, what's not. Try to keep your life on track.
Yeah. And do you have any advice for all the youngsters? Because I think there's three different key topics. One, I think, is definitely money management. Because, especially for someone young, they just when they work, it's quite a large amount of money for a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people. And oftentimes, when they have that money, it's like, well, what do you spend it on? And then there's the peer influence of like either gambling
Yeah. Oh
or
wow.
just,
Yeah. That's
other stuff.
huge.
Yeah, yeah.
Huge.
So like, and I noticed that the last part is there's a strong focus around mental health, which is the fact that it can often feel a bit lonely as well.
Have you gone through a depression?
No, I haven't, but
Okay.
but
It's
I,
okay to
yeah,
say
yeah,
it.
yeah, thank you, thank you.
All right.
No, I haven't, but like, because I hear a lot of stories,
Mhm.
and like I think that's the biggest concern for me.
Yeah.
Is for me personally, like, just my life. I'm like, man, like I feel really stressed out,
Yeah.
and I live, quite comfortably, and I'm just thinking about just some of the international students where they've got to pay all the fees up front. They've got to spend some time around
Yeah.
just enjoying themselves, but they also have to learn a lot about how to manage the rent, how to manage daily expenses, which
Yep,
they don't
yep.
get taught.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just thinking, like, man, if I was an international student, like, I wouldn't know how to deal with it because I'm struggling myself right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what really fascinates me is
Yeah.
like the willpower of a lot of international students and the ability to just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, like the amount of money they pay to like universities and colleges up front, like it's
Oh
it's
wow.
a lot. Like
It is a huge lot of
Yeah.
money. Yeah. And working here and saving it yourself.
yeah, it's crazy. Like
Crazy.
Yeah,
And
it's,
I don't know how people
Yeah.
do that. And right
'cause
now,
I think that's the thing that really fascinates me. To be
yeah,
honest,
yeah, for sure. And the saddest thing is once you graduate and you've spent so much money and so much energy working, and they're only after PR, That's like you've studied, make a career, You never know. Okay, worst comes to worst, you have to go back. You still have that
Well, I think that's a good
experience.
question
You know what
as
I mean?
well. I think for a lot of people, they do like to be honest, I think they do it to get the PR.
Yeah.
But like, I also think a lot of people don't know what they want to do as well.
Yeah.
So for you, like, how did you find your passion? Because that's
Oh.
something that a lot of people spend years
Yeah.
trying to discover.
I think just trial and error, man. Like kept trying. This didn't work. Another one just didn't work. Let's try this one. Because I feel what I found early was that I have a lot of time with me when I was like, say, not now, but
Yeah.
when I was 19, 20. What I found was, this is the time when I make mistakes. Because once you're say 35, 40, you're stuck with a roof.
Yeah.
You have a lot of commitments. You
Yeah.
can't move. You have
Yeah, yeah.
mortgage in your head or whatever. You have picked a certain path and you don't have options.
Yeah.
And that's the fun part about being young is you don't know what's next.
Yeah. No,
And
I
you're
totally
still
agree.
experimenting,
Yeah.
and you're like, sometimes you're doing sales, sometimes you're doing
Yeah.
hospitality,
Yeah.
and they're all enticing, and everything's so
Yeah.
new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's also you're able to take more risk.
Yeah.
Like I noticed that, if it's okay to share my journey,
Yeah, sure.
I remember at university I tried a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
and as I started like building up my career, the choices became a bit more limited in the sense that because I can't just change, like especially as you grow high, like grow your career within a specific field.
Yeah.
It's quite hard to change
Yeah.
industries or roles. You
Yeah.
can do it, but like there's a sacrifice around. You got to either
Oh,
take
yeah.
a pay cut or
Yeah.
a role cut.
Yeah.
And I noticed that also because as you just naturally grow, you got to pay for just the daily expenses.
Yeah.
You have to be responsible for around just other finances as well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, like I know like because before I used to question, why doesn't like more people take risks? Like it's so easy to just to take
Yeah.
risks.
Yeah.
But then I realized, when I was young, I didn't have any responsibility, so I can
Exactly.
just go out and do
Exactly.
it.
We just had, we had a stomach to fill, but now we have more,
Yeah.
mouths to fill. So yeah, that could be the case. I have a rapid fire round with
Okay.
you, and also bunch of questions where you just answer
Yeah.
off the bat and you don't have time to think. Okay, so the first question is, What is the color of your toothbrush?
Black.
Okay, black.
Yeah.
And is the brush thing black as well on the top?
Yeah, it's like electric toothbrush, so just
Ah,
yeah.
black toothbrush. Okay. uh, do you have an idol you admire the most?
An idol that I admire the most. I think it's my former manager, Dave. So
Okay.
yeah.
What qualities do you like of Dave?
Well, what I think what I like is just the fact that he's very grounded. He focuses on others, and he's got a strong value around integrity, which is keeping your word.
Yeah, it's a really important skill.
Yeah, and I think that's what really shifted for me in terms of both leadership, but also just how I view the world.
Okay.
Because I felt as though, okay, in the world, like, there's a lot of people that are either focused on themselves or, just trying to, try to get the most out of you.
Yeah.
Whereas with Dave, I noticed that for him, it was just about building others, focus on just, doing good things in the world.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, great. Moving on. Are you a morning or a night person?
What do you mean specifically?
Where do you, perform the most?
Yeah,
During the morning?
night. Yeah.
Okay, you're an owl.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Same.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
all the
tough
best
to-
people are night person.
Yes. Yeah, the two best person
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
How would you describe yourself in 3 words?
Gosh, that's a very tough question. I think it's energetic,
Okay.
creative.
Okay.
I think, and what's the best word to put that? And I think it's just like pushing
Communicative?
yourself. Yeah.
Okay. That's nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Growth.
Growth.
That's it, yeah.
Cool. Have you tried any drugs?
No, I haven't.
No.
No, I haven't. Unless it's like the actual drug, as in you put in your.
You know sugar is a drug as well. You must have drank Coke. And Coke.
I mean.
Tell me
well,
you've not
I
drank
think the
Coke.
question is what defines drug. It's probably
Okay.
a better question.
Yeah. I think everything is a drug now.
I think there's a classification around what is defined as
Have
drug.
you
I don't
been
know the
addicted
answer.
to something? Is a better question, I guess.
Well, yes, I have been. I think I'm addicted to work.
Wow.
It's very embarrassing.
This is not an interview, okay? Just be clear.
It is very
They're
embarrassing.
trying to
but
impress me. Yeah, okay. Now, that's a good addiction.
Yeah. Well, it's not because I need to like it's very hard for me to sometimes stop working.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of my biggest challenges, and that's something that I'm really trying to overcome.
Yeah.
Is like making sure my life is balanced in the sense that yes, I do need to focus on work, but also just have fun time as well.
How's your social media usage? Are you addicted to any of the social medias? TikTok?
I don't think I am.
No?
But
I
just give me a
sometimes
sec.
see you online late at night. Or
Is he stalking me? No, no, I think it just depends.
That was
like,
just a guess.
like it just depends. Like what you define as how long you're using it and all that stuff. But I think for me, sometimes I just scroll just to
Yeah.
relax. But that's I'm not like, on it.
I feel
every day.
addiction is something where you turn off your responsibilities and then
Yeah,
do
no,
certain
yeah,
stuff.
no. I definitely
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good because there are a lot of people, try to move away from social media
Yeah, I mean,
these
yes,
days.
it is very addictive.
By the way, there's a really good Netflix movie documentary called The Social Dilemma.
Okay.
You should watch
Yes,
it.
I think I've seen that. Yeah.
It's so good.
Mm.
It's
Can
like
you remind me what it's about again? Because I think I watched it already, but
okay, it's pretty new by the way.
Yeah.
So it's more of what social media is doing to humans
yes.
and
well,
the
it's having a
humans'
big impact.
behavior, human behavior, and all of the data that's been collected and that's been sold
Yeah.
to
Well, yeah.
marketing
Yeah, it's
agencies
crazy, yeah.
and all of that. These are all the whistleblowers that previously worked in
Yeah.
these big companies and they saw like, wow, this is something that needs to be checked because it's changing how people behave.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, Facebook makes, money as long as you're using the platform. So
Yeah.
they're very invested in making sure it's
There's
addictive.
a big quote saying, if you're not paying for a product, you are the product.
Yeah.
You
But
know.
I think it also depends on what the context you're using it for.
Yeah.
Because I know that before I was using it just to just scroll down,
Yeah.
waste
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But what I've been trying to, and then I stopped going like, well, I don't want to waste my time on
Exactly.
Facebook.
Yeah.
And I stopped using it. Then I realized, wait, like,
I'm missing out.
it's not I'm missing out, but there's also an opportunity, which is just to network with people, catch up, stay connected.
I see social
So-
media as a hammer, pretty much. It's a tool. Like you
Yeah.
can break your leg with it
Yes.
and break your head,
Yeah.
or you can build a house with just
Yeah.
that hammer.
Yeah, so I think it depends on the context as well.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, totally agreed. Last question for your rapid fire. What is the worst job you had? Pretty sure you did a lot of job, PJ.
What's the worst job? I think it is like, to be honest, it is that fundraising job. Because I remember like
I thought you loved it. Like,
no, like I remember it was like, you know, I had to like get people to sign up in the bloody rain.
yeah.
It was so cold. I was like, oh my god, this is this is horrible. So I think that's probably my worst.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the end of the rapid fire round. Thank you for being such an honest person.
Thank
Oh
you
no,
for
this is
the
not the end of
interview.
the
Oh, isn't
show.
it? Okay.
You wanna shake my hand? You can do that. But just before we end the show, we're almost there. But
Okay.
yeah, if you wanna leave, you can. But
Yeah, alright.
no, I'm just joking. You can't. You're stuck here. How do you identify yourself with the Nepalese community?
What do you mean specifically?
So, you know, people like being identified in some way. Say they're a real estate agent. They say, I'm someone who sells house, or like, is there a certain way you like to identify? You like to be identified. Like when somebody thinks, okay, I want a pizza. They think about Pizza Hut or Domino's. Do you want to be the Domino's of the Nepalese community, selling pizzas, or do you have certain identity where like, you know, oh, this is the guy?
Well, I think rather than just a specific Nepalese community, what I can share about just from a more holistic point of view is the person that I think I'm focused on being is someone with integrity, which is like, you know, if I say I'm going to do something, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm glad that what's it called? I surprised you, the fact that I wasn't late.
Oh yeah, nah,
Yeah,
that
'cause
was
I was surprised that you told me that, oh, I thought you were going to be late. So I was like...
because trust me, this is the third, fourth episode. People have been late,
Okay, yeah.
and yeah, it was quite a shocker.
Okay, yeah, because I think that's one of the key things that I'm very committed to.
Okay.
And I think the second thing is, one of the things I want to, like, I'm really focused on developing also is growing the people near me. And what I mean by that is, I noticed that sometimes, like, you know, with a lot of stuff we're managing, sometimes it's hard to focus on others.
Yeah.
But what I want to do slowly is just try and build up others based on what knowledge I've learned or skills I've learned. And I think the last thing is just like have a balanced life. I think sometimes I know that for me, like, I love trying new stuff. I love the creative elements of like, hey, we should do this, we should do that. And what I really want to start doing more of is just living a more balanced life of like work and fun. And I think that's quite important to me.
Okay.
So if I can live, you know, my life in those three elements, that would be great.
Great. Just before sorry.
Yeah. Keen on hearing yours.
As in how
The
do
same question, yeah.
Well, I would like to be identified as someone who can bring change to people in the way they act and work, because I feel there's huge potential in people in whatever things they do.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Be it, say, music, be it art, or be it, you know, public speaking, for example. And I think a lot of those talents are getting wasted because the fact that, you know, they're not brave enough, or they're not trying enough, and maybe just a push at the back sometimes helps. And I don't want to be the person that takes all the credit and saying, because I did it, and like, you know, they're there or something. But I just want to be the facilitator in between.
Facilitator,
Yeah. Because I feel a good leader is not someone who has a lot of followers, but a good leader is someone who has produced a lot of leaders
Yes. Well, that's very
themselves.
important.
Yeah. So yeah, just growing together, and I feel there's huge potential, especially
Yeah.
here within the police community.
Mm.
People are meant like they have to go to regional and all
Yeah.
that. That's fine. Do whatever your environment has, and just excel in whatever thing
Yeah.
you like.
And I
Pretty
think
much, yeah.
that's the one thing that I liked about like our generation is that we're not caught up in like that element of like we gotta do this or this or this. Like a lot of our generation, I notice, are just focusing on what they enjoy.
Yeah.
The purpose. So yeah,
No, I think there's huge shift.
yeah,
I think it's because of the media as well, and they're
Yeah.
getting to listen
Yeah.
to all that and be more open-minded.
And I think often like our generation, I notice they're challenging the
Yeah.
status quo around. Well, is that how society should be as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Our parents must have gone through a different generation
Yes,
altogether,
yeah.
and they have certain
Well, that's like all
values.
generation. Yeah.
Yeah, but we can't blame them
Yeah.
as well because they literally didn't have
Yeah.
exposures.
Well, it's different. It's a different
Yeah.
context. Yeah.
Yeah, when they turned on the television, they literally had 5 channels, and that's all
Yeah.
they watched.
Yeah,
But
well,
we can go YouTube
yeah.
and watch, French stuff
Yeah.
happening. We can watch German beers brewing.
Yes.
We can do
Yeah.
whatever we want, and
Yeah.
that wasn't there
Mm.
when they were young.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
And it's changing rapidly. Like I know, it's even for me and like someone like a bit younger.
Yeah.
Like the mindset is so different.
Yeah.
Itself, and I think even for them and someone else, it's even different. And I think it goes back into the speed of change that's happening in the world. Like
Yeah.
it's getting faster and faster and faster.
Yeah.
And I think generally a lot of people are finding it hard to catch up as well.
Oh, sure. It's good, like, thank God we were right in the middle when we just had like phones coming, and
Yeah.
we can at least operate a phone. Otherwise we would have been left behind by
Yes.
our youngsters because like they're so quick.
Yeah.
I see people editing videos in like TikTok. They're
Yeah.
like real pro
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
That would
It was
you know,
crazy. Photoshop these days.
Yeah, it's crazy, and like they just do it on the app on the
Yeah.
phone. They
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
That would take a proper production house to do it in previous years. Yeah,
Well, yeah, I remember watching the other person you're interviewing,
yeah,
and yeah, I remember. I think one of the things you're saying was, like, to be the best or like, to step up, like you've got to always like get new products, but then, like it's changing so fast from like I think 4K to like something else.
yeah.
And and I think for a lot of people it's like
It's hard to keep up.
yeah,
sure.
yeah. And I think that's why you got to focus on a couple of key things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think our time has run out.
Oh, yeah, look at that, yeah.
But really love the conversation,
too
man.
as
I
well.
think we can go for like forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
We should
we
have the
still
other
time.
brother here as well, and
Yeah, sure.
three of them.
And have few beers and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
sip around.
Yeah.
Do you drink, by the way?
I don't, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I used to. But I
Okay,
don't. Yeah.
you should start again then. Thanks for coming out again. You know, appreciate like really appreciate it. I know my podcast to Get Hurt, it's still very much in a very experimental stage,
Yeah.
and you coming out and being yourself and putting yourself out there is really well admired. And with all this, we'd like to say thank you, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks, brother. And I think what you're doing is also very important because, from what I've watched so far, it's really getting different stories out there.
Yeah.
And as I'm sharing, to do something like this, it takes a lot of time investment, and I think you should definitely continue.